Yo, 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 everyone! What's going on? Welcome to episode 18 of Unfiltered. I'm your host, ChanManV, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about this past weekend, the weekend of eSports with the finals for TI3 and all the WCS regional tournaments. Was this weekend one of the best weekends in eSports ever? Next, after that, we're going to be talking about BMing and really just talking trash and that sort of thing, all about what was going on in the Call of Duty community with Impact, and we kind of saw what happened to them, as a result of it today. And then lastly, we'll talk about DayZ, and Steven's been playing lots of DayZ lately. I know nothing about DayZ, so I figured he'd give me a quick intro into it. I forgot one thing too, and I had machine issues.
Hold on, you forgot two things. Can you switch us around real fast?
Switch to what? Oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't want to get ReDeYe in trouble by saying some shit.
Oh my god. Oh.
Really? That's funny, actually, because I was just like, maybe I can just do whatever I like now, because I'm now Destiny.
I don't think it works quite that way, but...
No?
Oh god, Paul is like my kryptonite, dude. He's like my kryptonite.
Every time I come on your shows,
dude,
I break something,
I have to fuck something up real bad when Paul's on. That's just how it is. No, but we'll finish off with some talk about machines, because my motherboard blew out while I was gone this weekend over in Orlando, and I came back and my motherboard was fried, so I had to do lots of things, and I ended up doing some funny things, so we'll talk about that too. But okay, let's kick things off with WCS TI3 this weekend. And I know Steven didn't catch any of it.
I saw a little bit of the last games. I heard there were lots of base races. It sounded exciting.
I saw.
I'm so happy.
Did you see any WCS?
No, fuck that shit. I heard that Maru won, or I don't know, somebody won that. I don't know.
Yeah. Maru won Korea. Just to sum it up for you guys, spoilers, whatever you want to call it. Maru won WCS Korea, Duck won WCS EU, and Polt won WCS America.
Hey, can I ask a quick question, not to sound too ignorant? Because there are some Koreans that share the same name. Is that Maru the same Maru that was like en route for a little bit?
No.
Is that a different Maru? Because that guy was Korean too.
No. You're talking about Masa, right?
Oh, Masa. He spelled his name Maru. Okay,
yeah.
Never mind. Okay. Just making sure. Got it.
Yeah. His real name is Maru. No. This is Maru, a totally different Maru. He's like 16 years old.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Royal Root or whatever. But so Korea, I don't know, Paul, like, did you catch much of Korea?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, we got up pretty early Saturday morning. I think Apollo and I were both in the studio early.
Yeah.
I managed to get in just after map 2, I think, and watched pretty much the rest of it until we had to rehearse. But yeah. Yeah, I watched most of it.
Good stuff. I actually was asleep the whole time. God, the WCS Korea was terrible. And especially, I was driving, or I had already planned a family trip to Orlando, just a theme park hop. So, didn't catch any of Korea, unfortunately. But I heard it was good. I heard it was pretty good. I did see pictures of how they were dressed, which was very interesting. Just all the casters and the hosts and everything. But
Yes.
Okay.
There was a bow tie weekend. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my god, I just realized I didn't even introduce you. Mr. ReDeYe here, guys. I mean, I'm just like really screwing up today. Mr. ReDeYe here, who's host of WCS EU and everything that is ESL these days. And also caster, everything. Just everything, ReDeYe. He's a former, actually, host of Climbing the Ladder, too. So, welcome, Paul. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Just,
that's all right.
Really thrown off by my my cameras today. But yeah, so WCS EU, talk about it. Talk about some. The finals were. I mean, it was obviously pretty cool that Grubby got into the semis, right? A lot of people were talking about it going into the final day, and obviously he got knocked down in the semis. But Duck still was. He's quite a character, man. That guy. He's a.
Yeah, I think I mean, okay, let's be honest. When we had 2 Koreans go through to the final, I think everyone thought, well, that's not going to be much excitement because, you know, having a Euro in the final like we did last season with Stefano kind of helped the home crowd a little bit, and, you know, they had someone to cheer for. But you can sort of root for MC, really, and the MC's well loved, he's well liked, the European crowds love him as well. And so I felt a little bit sad for Duck Duck, because if you went back over the 6 days that we did since Monday, we built him up at the start of the shows as the underdog in the group, and we then built him up as the underdog in the quarterfinal. We then said he was the underdog in the semi-final, and then we were pretty much against him in the final. And when he won, suddenly he was everyone's favourite player of the tournament. So, it's kind of weird and strange, but actually really cool for the guy. I spent some time with him afterwards. His Korean obviously is better than my Korean, and my English is better than his English, so we kind of communicate via sign language and beer, but it worked. And he's actually a really, really nice kid, and he's a young guy. He's been through a really turbulent short career. I'm not going to go into what he went through, but it was pretty horrible a few years back.
Okay.
And to win a big title like that for him at the first time was huge, and it showed. I mean, God knows what's going to happen. We might have to get like a plastic sheet for the Gamescom stage if he wins at the World Finals or something, because his reaction was amazing.
Yeah, those of you that didn't see it, he was definitely very emotional after he won, which was...
And that was great. I mean, you rarely see Koreans with that emotion.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
So, yeah,
especially outside of Korea, like reacting that way in just away from home is even bigger. Yeah, definitely good stuff. Lots of Protoss in the tournament, unfortunately, but yeah.
But that was okay as well. I mean, again, I looked at we almost had 7 Protoss in the quarterfinal. We ended up with 6, and 1 Terran and 1 Zerg, and then you kind of went, oof, this could be a long weekend of PvP. But actually, I don't really remember any of the PvPs being boring. They, really enjoyable matchup. And I don't play Protoss at all. I don't particularly like Protoss, but they were interesting. And then there was some really, really good games in there as well. So I think again we got a bit lucky with the games. And the show's only as good as the matches and the games that get played anyway. So
yeah, that's true. So what did you guys think of the viewership? You happy with it?
No.
It's tough. What's tough about viewership is like it's based on who's there.
There's all sorts of things that come into it. I mean, time zone, who gets through which games, who's against who, which type of race dominates. If there's too many Koreans, there's all sorts of different things that make a difference to viewership, not just whether the production's good and it's got the right commentators and what have you. Because I think we did that, but I don't think the team could have done anything differently to get more viewers. I think we had 70k plus whatever was on the local language other language stream, so probably 80 tops. It wasn't as good as I'd hoped. I think we did 130, I think, the first season. So we were a long way short of that, but we clashed with TI3. So, we sort of expected that we would probably be a bit lower, but I'm still disappointed, relatively disappointed that it was lower. But don't read too much into that. I think Gamescom finals will be fantastic, and I think we'll get plenty of viewers.
Yeah, I mean, TI3 didn't run into you guys that much, right? I mean,
no. I just think that it's like some people had to make a choice. They couldn't be in all day watching WCS and then be up all night watching TI3 for Europeans. So they chose one or the other.
That was like me, man. It's just like literally, I was
just not enough hours in the day.
Constantly. Yeah. Constantly.
I literally Saturday spent 2 hours watching WCS Korea. Then we actually did the WCS show. Then I went home and I watched WCS America until 4 a.m. in the morning, and then got up at 7 and went back in to do the WCS show. There was a lot on at the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. So, Steven, how'd you miss all of it?
Dude, I was playing games the whole time, man. I was getting updates from everybody in chat about what was going on and shit.
I know. It's like, was it purposeful, or did it just happen that you were...
No, I like playing games, man.
Yeah. God, you're... That's so funny. Let's see what Yeah, it's just the thing with viewership is that like, I mean, how do you base your just what you're satisfied with or not, Paul? I mean, based on you know that it's based a lot on who actually makes it, which is in a way luck, just luck
Yeah.
for you guys, right? So it's
Yeah. Well, it is luck. I mean, you know, we do absolutely nothing to influence who goes through. How could we? So, you know, there's never any bias when we draw stuff. I mean, the draws are all, you know, professionally drawn. So, I mean, if we wanted to match people up, you know, we could have fixed it in such a way that would be cool. But then that's not fair on the players or the system. So that would never work. So what you have to do is just make sure you produce the best show you can do. Put in the content that you think people will enjoy, which I think most people did. Hire the right people to deliver it, and put a decent show together. And I think, you know, as I said, we did that over the weekend. I don't think there was anything more that, as a set of people, we could do to bring in more viewers. But promotion was good, social was good, Twitch was great. I mean, most of the time. So, you know, it was. I don't know.
That's the thing about numbers sometimes. When everybody's just talking about numbers and comparing them to the previous event and that sort of thing, it's hard to even do that because you'd have to have exactly the same people in the same positions going in the finals, semis, and everything to really measure.
Well, here's something else to throw out there, and this is a TV thing from back when I did some TV stuff, and that is that, and you might think this is crazy, but it's the summer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, you know, you could lose 10,000 viewers on a show like that just because it's warm and people have gone on holiday. You know, there's lots of factors involved that some of which are out of your control, some of which aren't. But I think we did as much as we did before, if not more.
I mean, it definitely did a great job.
And I don't think the success of the show or the tournament is necessarily reflected by how many viewers it gets. I mean, you know, there's plenty of great shows out there that get a few thousand viewers and probably deserve a ton more. There's plenty of shows out there that get 15, 20,000 and probably don't deserve that many. So, you know, who knows?
It's not about deserving, though. You know how it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so WCS America for me was a pretty big surprise because they full out overlapped with TI3 and what was really cool, what I ended up realizing, because I was at parks and I was trying to watch everything during meals and what I came to realize being on my phone only able to watch one or the other is that, you know, during long breaks in TI3, right, between games, it was like they lined up really well at WCS America. So when I was like not watching one, or I was watching WCS America, you know, it'd be some, you know, great series with Scarlet and Jaedong, and then right after that I'd switch over and it's just like, you know, Tong Fu versus Orange or something like that. So
I don't even know so much of it was just that it lined up well, so much as that I heard that WCS America had like a constant stream of really good content from start to finish. That the NASL people like absolutely killed it in terms of production and whatnot.
I was going to get to that. I mean, they did an amazing, fantastic job too. Given that they only had 6 days to get that shit ready too in that studio. I mean, you know, they had a lot of the B-rolls and everything already ready, I'm sure, but just getting that studio ready with the live audience and everything in about 6 days, that was amazing. But yeah, they had a lot of stuff. They had, they had plenty of fill in between matches. They had, obviously Terry. They had Terry. That's a whole other bit though. And they had things like Rotterdam, you know, having an eating contest, you know, just things like that, right? That kept the
usual crazy NASL stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, if anything, it was it was like the American version of what you guys do, you know, which is very.
Well, I think that's sort of underselling them, really. I mean, they I think what we did season 1 that was so effective was that we put our brand of humor and European flair on it. So it became, you know, what we wanted was our own version of GSL, Code S, that had a European feel. And I think we did that season 1. I'm pretty sure we did that again season 2. And what I liked about what NASL did with WCS America was that they put their own brand of that on their thing as well, so it becomes their own thing. Mm-hmm. I think what we need to do next is try and align the 3 regions up a bit better and fix some of the scheduling issues and what have you, and just make it a bit more joined up so that the 3 kind of feed off each other. I think we in America did a little bit of that over the last week. We certainly linked to each other, and we always wrapped up the end of the day by reminding people that WCS America was on next, and there's more great stuff.
Should that just be required, Paul?
Come on. I don't know if required is the right way. You've got different partners with different objectives, so if I were Blizzard, I would probably make it a requirement and be like, you bloody well will do it. But they're not like that, and I think people give Blizzard a hard time for a lot of reasons, and probably don't deserve quite as much as they get. But they're very amenable as far as I'm concerned. They're very friendly towards us. They're trying to give each of the partners as much as they can in terms of allowing them to make the shows as interesting as they want and make them relevant for audiences that they have in the region. So can't criticize them for that.
I feel like that's a little understated. The idea of bringing your own kind of personality to tournaments, not to like point fingers or to shit talk anybody, but I think it's something that I've heard said a lot, kind of criticized a lot in terms of MLG productions, that they kind of go for that like professional, like that said. I can't even think of another word to describe it. Just like the professional cast.
The ESPN.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
it is.
But even ESPN, I think, has a little bit more personality than just from the little I've seen of the sports talk shows or whatever, versus the MLG. And I think it's interesting to point to that. It's something to keep in mind, that there are smaller tournaments, like say like the Home Story Cup, where like obviously he's got his own brand of everything. Like it reeks of Home Story Cup throughout the entire tournament. You've got the stuff that you guys do, and then you've got the stuff that the NASL guys do. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that
nice.
You can make it look professional. You know what I mean? You can have all the desks and all the screens in the back and everything, but when it comes down to it, it's just what dialogue is going on. You know what I mean? What little things you have in your fillers and that sort of thing. And that's
a little bit. I just think it's important you have to understand your audience. You think of like your audience of 18 to 26-year-old males. Like how many of us really want to sit and watch like super professional, like dressed up in suits? Like like this is like a generation of people that grew up watching like The Simpsons. Not even The Simpsons. I guess it would be like South Park and stuff like that. Like those aren't the same kids that are gonna be looking towards like an ultra professional. Like. I don't know, my opinion.
I don't know, Steven. I think there's room for all of it. I don't think that you have to subscribe to there's one way of doing it only, and that's the only way that will work. I think
definitely.
Everything. I hate doing sports analogies, but tennis is as close as we've got in terms of the big events and the small events, and it's 1v1. And if you look at even the majors, you look at the Australian and the way that they deliver that as a show. It's very Australian. You look at Wimbledon, and it's it's all about bloody strawberries and bowler hats and people dressing up and stuff like that, right? Yeah, and all that kind of stuff and grass. And then you look at the American, and it's totally different. The French is totally different, but they're all professional events. They're all part of a major, ATP tournament. I think that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
What ReDeYe means is you got the Americans who are drunk as shit in New York, and hooting and hollering at night.
And then I guess just being professional doesn't necessarily mean you have to be boring.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
It's like the difference between hearing a funny racist joke from maybe In Control as opposed to hearing a not so funny racist joke from maybe Terry.
Unfiltered, baby.
And it took us 14 minutes.
Anyways, they did a fantastic job, and kudos to them, because I thought it wasn't going to break 30, just given the fact that it was going to be overlapping with TI just completely, and the numbers I saw when I was watching it was mid 40s, I believe. It probably got higher too. I just when I was watching it, and I was hoping Scarlett was going to win that last game. I mean, if Scarlett would have gotten to the finals with Polt, then you would have seen that number plus 10,000, plus 15,000, which would have been amazing. But Jay, that six pool.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to go and talk about that, but
somebody asked us a question. We'll talk about
it
later.
Okay.
But Jay,
what an asshole, man.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
Jay Kong. Oh man, poor Jay Dong. Okay, International 3. So, did either of you guys catch much of it? You caught a lot of it though, Paul, right? Just not the finals.
I caught a lot of it, except for the last night, obviously, when we were busy with our own finals and stuff, and we had a lot of things to do after that. And and then we had a Barcraft thing to go to, so we watched some of it while we were at Barcraft. I think maybe two of the 5 maps. But I haven't been able to catch up on much since either. We've just been busy already working on Gamescom stuff, so I haven't even had time to watch. I only had time to watch our own VODs from the weekend, let alone TI3. But what I saw was really good. I mean, as you would have expected if you watched it last year. Mm-hmm. They ramp it up every year. Production was really good. I think Casey was a bit of a revelation, bearing in mind that she knows nothing about esports, but is obviously a very good TV person. And I think that helps, or should help, people understand that just because you're a good host or a good commentator in esports doesn't mean that you should be doing all the big events. If this goes even bigger than it is right now, guarantee you they'll bring in TV people to do this stuff. So we need to get better and better, otherwise we're going to miss out. And she kind of confirmed that. She did an awesome job.
Jeez. She was fantastic, dude.
Yeah.
Because I definitely was second guessing her at some points during the first few days, because she was very, very obviously trained and news person. I think she was a news anchor, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it showed that from that standpoint she was super professional. But there were a lot of moments where she was talking about things that she didn't know about, and she would admit it too on air, which was pretty interesting. But by the end, it was like literally watching somebody, like a conversion of somebody into an esports fan. That was, I don't know. I thought Casey was a huge success for TI3.
But I think there was things that last year I was like, wow, this looks awesome. This year I wasn't quite so blown away. I don't know. Maybe we've just become a bit numb to awesome stuff now, and it's become a bit normal. I don't know, maybe that's a sign of the times, but it didn't blow me away in the same way. I don't think it was bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think some of the shots that they pulled weren't the best. I
agree.
Didn't like the booths with the players, for instance. There was a lot of poor choices of 2 shots on some of the analysis stuff.
Oh god!
But I'm nitpicking, I really am. I'm sort of picking through some of it.
It's funny. The analyst desk was actually nice. It was, the way they had it. The way they had it was nice. I just don't really, because I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
I liked how they had it's shaped. So it actually created that kind of.
I thought it was stiff. I thought it was.
No. The way they were.
But here's the thing, right? If you have couches, or it's a rounded couch, and you have people and they're a bit more relaxed, it becomes a bit more bantery. You get a bit more out of them. Yeah. Here it felt very staid. I don't know if that was an intentional thing by the production team who wanted it to be very on point and just, you speak, then he speaks, then he speaks, then he speaks, then you go to Casey, then you come back, then you speak. It just felt a bit robotic to me at sometimes. That was all.
Yeah, it was, but I think part of the robotic aspect of it had a lot to do with the people too. Like, Merlini and Malk and Bruno. Those guys aren't like the giant personality. Bruno has a lot of personality, but it doesn't come across like on the camera during the weekend. And Malk's pretty, he's pretty straightforward and not much. There's not much joking with him. And Merlini, kind of the same thing, right? So, and James had to play the serious host. So.
Well, his role was an anchor host, which I don't think he really fully understood that was his role. I don't know if they told him it wasn't his role, but from my point of view, having no center host on the stage or whatever, his role was the anchor. He was supposed to gel everything together, and I'm not sure that worked either. I prefer the other James, if I'm honest.
The other James? Which James?
The no fluff, no bullshit, let's have some fun James.
The other James.
Yeah, that other James.
What James? Okay. Yeah. No, I prefer him too. I prefer.
I think if you mute him like that and you strip away why he's enjoyable to watch as a personality, then I don't know what you're left with.
Ouch.
Wow.
He is.
So are you saying that James is just a shock jock?
No, absolutely no. He's got some really, really strong opinions, and he likes to say them and he likes to air them. But I
likes to hear them.
I do like to hear them. I think they're interesting.
He likes to hear himself talk or something.
No, I like to hear them. I think other people would like to hear them. But he's an interesting personality, and I don't know if you you put me and him together. Put it this way: we're like chalk and cheese, effectively. I'm the serious guy. I'm not the one that has much fun. I just, I concentrate on doing the pro thing. Put me in his chair doing good show, but suck balls at it. So it kind of feels like it's horses for courses. So I think he just needs to do what he's good at, and I don't feel like I got that from him.
His choice.
Did you I'm just curious. Have you ever seen the show called Pure Ownage?
Yeah.
You're growing up? Actually, I shouldn't say when you're growing up. Sorry, that was really dumb. But I like to compare that. I think that show is like the perfect analogy between having something that I think really works in like one environment, like their online show, and then trying to translate that to an environment where you strip out a lot of the things that were kind of intrinsic to that show. Because if you ever watched the TV show, a lot of the kind of magic that was Pure Ownage was notably absent,
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know Jarrett quite well. We've worked together a few times, so yeah. I mean, he's funny in real life. He really is.
Yeah.
I believe it.
It's ridiculously funny.
So, what do you think of the casting? Because Toby didn't take front and center this time, right? It was LD and Lewis, so
no, he didn't, and I'm sort of surprised about that. I mean, I think if I'm absolutely honest, I don't know Dota casting as well as I do other games, so it's difficult for me to be sort of objective about it. But purely as a guy tuning into a game that I don't know too much about, Toby just infects me. You can't.
I know what you mean.
You can't not enjoy the game with the way that he delivers the game. And I was slightly disappointed that he wasn't doing the final. And I think, if I'm honest, I think he needs a stronger co-caster. And
oh, absolutely.
I don't know if he picks his co-casters and he wants to see someone who's not on his level. And no disrespect to the guy that was next to him, did a okay job, but it just wasn't for me. It didn't work for me. I think he needs someone as strong as he is, or stronger, that can give him a hard time, that can push him. I think you only ever get better if you've got great people alongside you, and you only improve if you've got other people that push you. And I think he's comfortable right now. I would love to have matched him with someone like James, for instance, who could have just been his color guy and kept him in check.
Toby is kind of like the play. I mean, he's like a combo guy, right? He's really a solo caster, more so than
because he spent a lot of time soloing.
I know, so it's a tough situation. Like, do you put an analyst with him? I mean, you can't put a play-by-play guy with him. He's the play-by-play guy. So,
yeah, he is.
I don't even know who you'd put with him, honestly. But Cinderin, yeah, maybe Cinderin. No, but LD and Loomis have definitely something good going together, which was nice. But I know what you mean by Toby. Like, for people who've never seen Dota, I think Toby just really impresses you and really captures you, gets you to watch it. Because that's how he was with me for last year. That's how he was for me. I was like, whoa, like this guy's like yelling and just crazy, it's like almost Korean style like casting, and I just thought it was exciting.
Yeah, I mean he's infectious, and I think the job of a play-by-play caster is to hook you if you don't know what's going on. You're flicking through the TV, and the reason I started watching UFC was because I was flicking through the TV and came across this lunatic shouting about something. I was like, what the hell is this guy? Turn back. Oh, all right, I'll watch this for a bit then. And that's it's no real different when you're on Twitch and people are flicking through channels trying to find what's on, and he's very, very infectious as a caster. Is he the best out there? I don't know, because I don't really know enough about Dota 2. Is he the most popular? I think he is, but I definitely think he needed a stronger co-caster.
Yeah, it says a lot. It says a lot that he didn't do the finals, and I'm not sure if it says more about Toby or it says more about just the love that the community has for LD and Luminous right now. So, and the BTS guys basically. But yeah, the games, man, those teams. I mean, there were some great games throughout the whole thing, and it kind of, and for me, it kind of started with obviously Liquid's run. I mean, that was great. That was amazing.
That was so good. Yeah, really, really good. I mean, what is it about Liquid? They seem to find these great personalities that you just can't hate, that you end up wanting to follow because they're just nice people that do well. And a StarCraft 2 team, I mean, you just can't hate them. There's just nothing about them that you can hate. They're nice people, and occasionally they win. And then, they've got Tasia, so they're bound to win something every summer. So it's great, right?
Tasia hero, man. You're something like...
yeah.
Oh, boy.
But it's no different in Dota 2, because I did find myself going, I don't really know these guys, but somehow I kind of want to root for these guys now. I mean, Casey did that was partly down to Casey and her little interviews and stuff, but so good, and they got those stories right. I mean, that was credit to the James and the guys picking that kind of stuff out and making you go, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I should root for these guys then. That's their job, and they did that really well.
Steven, you're gonna say something?
I was wondering, what were the final numbers on the max concurrence of the Dota 2 finals?
During the finals, there was one
million?
snapshot of all three. And
I saw one that topped just over 1 million.
Yeah, just over 1 million. That's the highest I've seen so far. Is that screenshot that that was an imager or whatever, and definitely over 1 million. Just whether did it reach 1.1 or 1.2, that sort of thing is really in question. 500 over 500 on Twitch though, which is pretty impressive. I mean, that's crazy good.
So just curious, I don't know if you would have, maybe you don't have an exact number, but what kind of viewership would you be looking for in order to pitch some kind of tournament like this to like a TV station? Whether it's like a kind of a smaller cable channel, or I'm just curious for ReDeYe.
We wouldn't do that. I mean, usually the thing is that the TV companies are coming to us. I mean, I think SVT came to DreamHack. I think twice last year, and then probably twice this year that I remember, maybe even more. Robert would be able to tell you. I think they already understand that we're in TV land. I mean, in terms of numbers, we're now matching reasonable sized programs on terrestrial television in most countries in Europe anyway. The States, I'm not so sure. I don't know what the figures are over there. But we're in the ballpark. I mean, getting 1 million viewers across those streams without including TV is a reasonable sized sporting event. I mean, I think last season we had 327,000 concurrent doing Katowice for IEM, and one of the marketing guys I was speaking to told us that was probably about 25,000 higher than they'd had for NHL. So,
do you think that the future for events like these should lie in streaming, or do you think you would push it more towards trying to get it on more TV channels? Or I'm just curious.
It's funny actually. I used to think that we needed TV. I used to think, 6-7 years ago, I thought we needed TV to get bigger and to go mainstream and to get the big, millions of numbers and the sponsorship and the marketing and everything else. I'm not so sure anymore. I think TV's coming more towards us. I think TV stations have realised that actually our generation, your generation are people that don't watch TV the same way as 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and actually we consume video in a much more irregular way. I mean, there's nothing linear about what we watch anymore. We'll download stuff and we'll watch stuff on VODs, whether it's TV series or whatever. We just don't watch TV anymore the same way. And we've been there for years. We've been doing this for 10, 12 years now. So I think TV's sort of going, well, hold on a minute. Maybe these guys are onto something here. Maybe this Twitch thing is, somehow cooler than what we're doing. So I'm seeing lots of, certainly in Europe anyway, companies like BBC and ITV and SVT in Sweden and what have you come more towards us. So literally, I mean, SVT literally take DreamHack's broadcast, pipe it into a van, send it up to the satellite dish and beam it out to their station. Unedited, unfiltered, just how it's presented. So I think, the first thing is TV is now starting to understand that in eSports we've got 3 or 4 big companies that can produce a TV show to a TV standard, which is great. And secondly, that the numbers make sense from their point of view, in that they can monetize the products and the content that they've got, and it's bloody cheap for them if you think about it. Really cheap for TV. I mean, TV, they spend millions on trying to get 250,000 people to watch, and we spend maybe 100,000 or something to get the same amount. So it's very cheap for TV. They're staggered. Often they're staggered by how we deliver something. Across different companies. So yeah.
I wonder what the numbers for the Swedish TV were.
I don't know.
It was apparently they ran over. They extended their coverage by like an hour or 2 hours.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's really great.
Is that I'm not entirely sure how it works in Sweden. Is that like a publicly owned station, or is it?
Yeah, no, it's totally SVT is like their main. It's like BBC in the UK. It's Swedish television, Swedish national television.
Do you think they would release those numbers at some point?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think they would.
Maybe.
I think they've released them in the past for DreamHack.
I think that I could be full of shit right now, but I'm pretty sure they've released them for one of the DreamHacks before.
Yeah, I am too. No,
Cool.
definitely great. The just continue on the storyline. There, there was just so many different storylines. It was, another one was the Navi, just Navi and a lot of their comebacks. I feel like even though Alliance won, and I kind of expected Alliance to win actually going in since they were so hot going into the tournament. For me, Navi was kind of the biggest storyline of the tournament going into the finals, and obviously Alliance winning the finals, because they just had some amazing moments, like amazing comebacks, amazing series with Tongfu and Orange, and it was pretty crazy. And one of the biggest ones was when he played Pudge and he was doing the fountain pools. I'm not sure if you guys saw that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was, for a viewer, those were amazing.
Yeah.
And I know it was cheesy play, obviously there are a lot of people calling it out and that sort of thing, but hey guys, it's in the game, it's like, it's fair game, right? I don't know if, Steven, you heard about that, but
The backdooring like crazy and whatnot?
No. There's this move that you can do with Pudge, who's like, he's like Blitz, he can pull somebody.
Oh.
But there's another hero you can do him in tandem with, and he actually blinks a teammate back to the base. And
nice.
He would pull somebody, and then he would blink them back to base, so he would pull them literally across the entire screen.
Oh, I got it, I understand.
Yeah. So anyways, they were pretty far behind, like Navi was, and then he just kept doing it over and over and over again, and they finally came back and won. But yeah, anyways, like moments like that, I feel like were pretty amazing, and just kind of all culminated with that last series and the last game. A lot of people in that know Dota 2 really, really well. I've seen lots of games called the last game, probably the best game they've seen. So, pretty amazing. One thing about Dota, I have to say, that's a big difference between watching that and like LCS is I think Dota 2 does a really good job of for each team, like, really has a superstar on their team. You know what I mean? Like, even though the team, there's very, very team dynamic to it. Everybody obviously plays a huge important role, but each team has that LeBron on their team, at least that's marketed like that. Whether it's Dendi or it's Mushi or it's.
I think you could argue the same for LCS. I think
maybe
you watch the American one, you watch the European. They're always, they're pulling out the guys like Ocelot and Alex Ich, and they're building them up to be the superstars of their team. But
I think, and I'm speaking a little bit outside my comfort zone. Maybe if you're more familiar with Dota, you can correct this for me. But in my personal opinion, it seems like it would be, I say easier to do it in Dota 2. Not that it's easy, but that the heroes are such that you could actually have those superstars. Whereas in League, Riot tries to religiously balance the game so much that nothing is too strong. You can never really have like that one person that's like a superstar, because everything is like kind of so nerfed that nothing really stands out and is able to fill that role, even if you had a really good player. Whereas in Dota, it sounds like all the champs are such that if you had like a really big superstar, like they could actually make like really huge plays that wouldn't necessarily be.
Yeah.
I'm not. I think you're right, but I think what I'm saying is that I think the personalities are better. They're more recognizable in League of Legends, but because of the job that the two companies do in terms of producing the show.
Oh yeah.
They're building
Definitely.
them up. Dota only gets one chance a year to kind of show these guys. I don't follow Dota. I'm not a big fan of the game. Until a month ago, I'd never heard of Dendi. Now that might make me sound like an idiot, but
wow, okay.
I don't watch Dota, so how would I have known about him? But what TI3 did for me was made me think, actually, I like this guy a lot. I think he's really cool. I think he's got a great personality. I found out about him, and then I was kind of hooked, and I was like, I hope they really win the final, just because that guy is awesome. So it works, right? And I think what LCS has done really well this year in both North America and Europe, and Korea to a degree, is they've pulled these personalities and celebrities out. And they might not be the best player in the team. They might not be the best player in the league, but they're certainly personalities, and that's no different to any other sport.
Yeah.
So I think it's great.
Well, it's Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's very very analogous to like football, right? And even basketball, where you have that one player in a team dynamic that literally can either make those plays
unless you're Miami.
Oh boy, here we go. Miami has their own star too. Okay, they have their superstar of stars too.
Yeah.
But no, but I really appreciate
they have superstars, and then they have a superstar.
Yeah, they have the king, right? No. No, but that's one thing I really, really enjoyed about it, because it's so easy to understand, whenever you market it that way too. And then there's, it's because it's just like LeBron and Kobe clashing in basketball, or Ronaldo and Messi,
But I think esports is generally getting better at that across the board, whether it's Dota, whether it's League of Legends, whether it's StarCraft. I think we're all, become a long way in all the broadcasting of stuff, and it's sort of our responsibility as the broadcasters to make sure those people come out. Yeah. And I think it's got much better over the last couple of years.
Yeah. It's one thing it's definitely one thing that's missing from StarCraft. I mean, I don't know if StarCraft can do anything about it, because the dynamic of the game is just completely different, where you can't have somebody just shine out of nowhere. I mean, they just shine the entire time. They're either kicking ass the entire time or they're not, right? It's not just...
Maybe.
They can't.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I mean, you could argue Stefano kind of came out of nowhere. Like, he was already a pretty decent player, but in terms of, like, his explosion onto the scene, like...
Yeah.
He did, but it's not within the context of, like, an event, or a series. You know what I mean? Like,
sure. There's not, like, as many breakout events, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Like,
the only
thing
we kind of had for that was, like, the MLG Open bracket, I guess.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit like that. I mean,
but once they started shipping over the Koreans, that wasn't really as much a possibility for foreigner players.
No, but it'd be something similar.
Sounds like they got boxed into crates and put on a ship for 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Whatever.
He's like, yeah, they did.
Shipped over the Koreans, boxed them up. Well, they didn't bring them over here. They'd still be living in South Korea, right? North Korea.
I think they would have invaded the other scene eventually. I think there was too much money going on in StarCraft 2 outside of Korea that they fancied having a slice of, so I wouldn't necessarily blame LLG for it. I think they would have come anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, the MLG has some say in that, right? Which is how you don't have to allow it. MLG for the most part. I guess it was open. I guess was open bracket. So I mean, if they play in the open bracket, then they can obviously get in. But you know what I mean? They determine who goes to these things. Yeah. So come on.
I was just looking at the chat and they were spamming North Korea. I think one of us may have slipped up and said North Korea. Probably me.
Oh, I said North Korea intentionally.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean, if they played in North Korea, they wouldn't win anything, because we know that Kim Jong-un is actually a 53-time StarCraft 2 champion there. So. True story, he actually shot a 36 on a 72-par golf course once.
Yep. He always golfs perfect. It's a hole-in-one every single course he plays.
Or what?
No, full-blown.
Full-blown.
That was the press release that got released, was that he had nine of the 18 holes were hole-in-ones.
Have you ever seen... I've always wanted to see these movies, but apparently North Korea refilms, like, other movies to like, suit... Like, they have, like, their own, like, North Korean version of Godzilla and their North Korean version of all these movies. Have you ever heard about those or seen any of those?
No, I haven't seen it, but I have heard, yeah.
What would the North Korean version of Godzilla be like?
I don't know, just everything that portrays North Korea is, like, amazing, and...
But it's in Japan.
I don't know how we got onto this subject. It's a thorny subject, but my favourite one was at the South African Football World Cup a few years ago, and apparently they banned any media in North Korea about the World Cup until after their first match, because they didn't want to tell the nation they'd lost, and the news people told everyone that they'd won. Right?
Oh, sure.
And it's kind of weird. And then when they played the second match, the BBC coverage cut to 2 Korean people in the crowd, and they had a sign, and it said, "Kim Jong-il thinks I'm at work."
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. ChanMan, you know what you should add on the topic list today is that Olympic stuff going on.
What Olympic stuff?
The International Olympic Committee talking about how they're going to be enforcing, like, the persecution of people that protest at the Olympics and whatnot for the Russian... You haven't been following any of this stuff?
No, I missed this.
What?
I've been busy keeping up with eSports, man.
Okay, alright, sorry, never mind.
No, what is it? I want to know, man.
The Olympics are being hosted in Russia, and Russia pretty much said "fuck gay people everywhere," and if you're here and you're gay, we're gonna fuck you up, more or less, and probably
Really?
nicer words than that. Yeah.
God.
And the Olympic people are like standing behind it. Like the IOC has pretty much said, "Yep, fuck gays." It's pretty.
Wow.
And nicer words than that. And nicer words than that. But sorry, that's like a whole other.
I mean, I don't want to
to
stir up trouble here. But while we're on the subject,
God.
right?